But first, Liverpool ended their 4-game losing streak, thumping Eintracht Frankfurt by 5-1 in the Champions League last night. 5 different players were on the score sheet for Arne Slot's side as they came from behind to win, but it came at a cost after Alexander Isak was forced off with a groin injury. Didn't start well for Liverpool. They conceded first, yet again. Former Leeds defender Rasmus Christensen with a fine strike to put Frankfurt in front. Less than 10 minutes later, Liverpool equalised. A great ball there from Andy Robertson. It played in Hugo Ekitike. He showed off his pace and composure to score against his former club. Virgil van Dijk then headed in from a corner. Liverpool in front in a game for the first time in a month. And just before half-time, another corner, Ibrahima Konate making it 3-1. Into the second half, and Florian Wirtz produced a great cross to set up Cody Gakpo at the far stick. Liverpool saved their best goal until last. Dominik Szoboszlai arrowing an effort into the corner of the net to make it a European night to remember for Liverpool. Let's go live now to Anfield, and we can speak to our reporter Vinny O'Connor to give us some more reaction. Vinny, Liverpool fans watching this morning will have a smile on their face. It's been a difficult few weeks and they needed that, didn't they?
I think they did, Will, to be fair, because obviously there was that history element to it. Not since 1953 had Liverpool lost 5 on the bounce in all competitions, so they wanted to avoid that. Of course, they went a goal behind and they were able to find a reaction. Actually felt for Andy Robertson when that opening goal went between his legs, but of course, as you mentioned, that great ball that he played through for Hugo Ekitike, what a first touch that was as well, and a composed finish from Hugo Ekitike. 2 thumping headers followed, obviously, from Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate. We, of course, saw them both scoring in the Champions League on match day 1 last season away to AC Milan. And then Florian Wirtz getting the assist as well. I think a couple of the important things is that defensively Liverpool were a little bit better once they started running away with the game. There was those chances early on, of course, and perhaps a chance for Eintracht Frankfurt when Liverpool had gone 2-1 ahead. Apart from that, it was a relatively straightforward night for Mamardashvili in the Liverpool goal. They scored from set pieces, from corners, obviously, so I think Arne Slot has been making the point how they've been conceding goals from set pieces, but they were able to score from them on the evening. And of course, those assists for Florian Wirtz as well. Great assist for Cody Gakpo's goal, but I'll give him an assist as well for setting up Dominik Szoboszlai for that thumping drive as well. But all in all, a good night and a confidence restorer for Liverpool.
Good night in terms of the result, Vinny. Not a good night for Alexander Isak, who was hooked at half-time. We later found out that it was an injury. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, not just Alexander Isak, of course, but Jeremie Frimpong, and he's had a stop-start period really in his Liverpool career because, of course, he had that hamstring that he picked up in the first game against Bournemouth, and now it appears he's going to spend some time on the sidelines once again with a hamstring injury, but obviously a massive blow when it comes to Alexander Isak as well, because Arne Slot was saying to us on Friday that when it comes to Isak, they felt that he was getting his match sharpness. He had that mini pre-season behind him, which he needed because, of course, he had virtually no pre-season because of that protracted move from Newcastle. And effectively, Arne Slot was saying now is the time to judge Alexander Isak on his performances that he puts in. But he gets 45 minutes last night and unfortunately had to be withdrawn at half-time. And Arne Slot confirming afterwards that it is a groin injury. So again, we wait to find out the full extent of that groin injury and just how long Alexander Isak will be out now. But obviously afterwards, Arne Slot was far from happy that his striker has now picked up this injury that could keep him out.
You feel like, yeah, there must be a moment where he can play twice a week. And the first time we try, he did this in Sweden as well, but the first time we try, he has to go off. And let's hope that is not that bad, but he has to go off because he felt his groin. So yeah. Many people probably wanted me to play him more, and we had to find the balance, and unfortunately today that balance didn't work out for us perfectly, but let's hope for the best.
So the question, Vinny, now is who will fill the Isak gap? And look, Hugo Ekitike has had a good season, hasn't he? What a signing he's been from Frankfurt. What a goal last night. Just cruised through the pitch, didn't he, and finished against his old club. And I guess Slot will be looking for him to score those goals in the big matches that are upcoming for Liverpool.
Yeah, and that goal, the composure they showed, it was the first touch that got me, and then, of course, the way he cut across Koch as well before that composed finish, Will. And it's been a bit of a strange time, though, for Hugo Ekitike since that red card against Southampton. His first game after that was the away tie against Galatasaray in the Champions League. He actually started that game and played 68 minutes. He then was a sub against Chelsea, coming on in the 74th minute for Isak against Manchester United. Of course, he came on around about the hour mark as well. But even during the international break, he started against Azerbaijan for France, but then only came on in the 89th minute against Iceland. But last night, he broke a run of 5 games, or 5 appearances, I should say, really, without a goal for Liverpool and for his country as well. It's 6 Liverpool goals in total now that he's got this season, and clearly Arne Slot feels that he brings an extra dimension to Liverpool's attack.
Was special. You can see his pace in a moment like that. These were also moments we were hoping for. Like I said before the game, we were able the last few weeks to create many chances, but unfortunately not always able to score them. And today with Alex and Hugo, I brought 2 players on the pitch who are usually able to score goals.
So Hugo Ekitike in a good moment, but those injuries are beginning to mount up for Liverpool. We mentioned Isak, of course. We know that Ryan Gravenberch is currently out at the moment. Also Frimpong with that hamstring injury that he picked up last night. We wait to see just how long Ryan Gravenberch is going to be out for. That was a twisted ankle that caused him, of course, to miss last night. Alisson still sidelined as well, and that's a big run of fixtures that Liverpool have coming up. Brentford, obviously, at the weekend. Then it's Palace in the EFL Cup. Villa back in the Premier League before Real Madrid in the Champions League once more, and then that massive game away at Manchester City on the 9th of November before Nottingham Forest here at Anfield as well. So a big few weeks coming up for Liverpool, and that injury situation just isn't great for them at the moment.
Cheers, Vinny.
What did you think about them today? Because obviously Tony mentioned 73 years it's been since they lost 5 on the bounce. It was a little bit worrying, wasn't it, when Frankfurt scored first there?
Wasn't a great start from them to go 1-0 down, but give credit to Frankfurt. It was a well-worked goal. When you talk about playing through pressure, the bravery, and getting into that midfield pass, Liverpool's midfield couldn't recover at all. They went 1-0 down, but they come back into it. And for me, I think probably it's more about Ekitike. He has been their most impactful signing in this window. He wasn't the name that everyone was associating with Liverpool when the transfer window was open. It was all about Isak. Ekitike was a bit of a surprise when he came in, but he's risen to the occasion because the goal he took, it wasn't an easy goal. And Grella will tell you, when you run with the ball from your inside your own half as a striker and you're running, you've got to go the whole length of the pitch and then recompose yourself in that vital moment, keeping in control. He showed all of that. And for me, I feel disappointed for him that he didn't start in that big game against Manchester United, because I felt that he should be the one that's in the team. But overall, the performance for Liverpool was get a win. They needed to get a reaction after losing to Manchester United, their greatest rival, and that's what they did today. And I won't say to get too high or too low, because the reality of it is, without being no disrespectful, Frankfurt didn't really challenge them as much. Very small moments. But it isn't a game you can reflect on too much because Frankfurt have been just hemorrhaging goals anyway domestically in the Bundesliga. But it was a win to get the confidence back, do the right things. You got Van Dijk getting on the score sheet as well, captain who was criticised for his performance. Good win. Yeah,
Arne Slot made some big decisions as well. For the first time since 2017, Mo Salah didn't start back-to-back Champions League matches for Liverpool. Is it turning out now, Grella, do you think, to be the right decision for Liverpool? This is a look at their attack. I mean, he's got an embarrassment of riches, really, hasn't he, to choose from?
Yeah, he does there, and I don't even see Chiesa on there, by the way, who's been one of their top players. But Gakpo, Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz, Salah, all fantastic players. And I think sometimes, like for Mo Salah, it's okay. It's okay to rest a weekend. It's okay to play in the next game. It's okay. They're going to have so many important games. They come thick and fast from now to the end of the season. So I wouldn't look too much into it. Though?
Or will he see it as them going in a different direction?
I'm sure he will, with his experience and his age, that, Frankfurt away is not necessarily the Champions League final either. I think the guys on that sheet could get that job done. So in some ways, it was almost bad that Frankfurt scored first, because then Liverpool was like, okay, let's go. Let's get on the same page. And then obviously 5-1, a pretty big result. So they've got so much quality. For sure, there's an element to their game right now, though, that's a little shaky. You lose 4 games on the bounce, something that if they would have lost the 5th, you said 72 years, right?
I think 73, right?
73 years, whatever.
Yeah, it's a long time either way, right?
So there's an element there that maybe not Arne Slot could even put his finger on at the moment that Liverpool is missing in some of these moments. But Frankfurt, I think there was never a worry for Liverpool tonight.
I wouldn't read too much into the Mo Salah thing unless we see this as habitual, moving down the line, right? We see a couple games in a row where it's still Mo Salah, right? And sometimes you guys know, right? Just a rest. You need a day where it's not completely on your shoulders and you get rejuvenated a little bit. I would think for Arne Slot, it's hard and really hard not to write Mo Salah's name on the team sheet, right? Because of what he's done. He's built so much equity. But at the end of the day, you also have to worry about winning and what the best team for that day is to win. So when you look at it at face value at 5-1, you have to say, okay, Arne Slot pushed all the right buttons today, right? I don't know if he's the kind of manager that has a conversation with Mo Salah. We don't have that because last year, from day one, it was cruise control for Liverpool, all the way up until Champions League, right, when they end up getting knocked out. So we never had to see Arne Slot when things weren't going well, where he had to deal with Mo Salah maybe. We've never seen this side of him in the Premier League.
And we didn't think we were going to have to either, Nige, because they won the first 7, didn't they, to start this new campaign. But they've got Brentford at the weekend. If you're Arne Slot, which front 3 would you go with?
I think I'd have to start at Ekitike, but basically I would say what Grella said. Quality is not a problem. The chemistry is the problem. It's finding the right team that fits. With the whole Mo Salah situation for me is we have to be honest about the situation. He hasn't been performing to the levels we've seen him. So sometimes as a manager, you have to make big decisions. Xavi Alonso's gone to Real Madrid. He's made big decisions. It used to be Vinicius Jr., and he's had no problem putting Vinicius Jr. on the bench. This is what comes when you're in the top 1% of footballing clubs. The manager who comes in there has to put on his big boy pants, and you have to make big decisions. But you have to base your decisions on performances and what you've seen. Mo Salah hasn't been performing. He has been a bit of a weakness in this Liverpool side. And you talk about both fullbacks are struggling. I think it's a chemistry thing. I think one person for me definitely that should be starting is Ekitike. I think he's been the most impactful signing that has come to Liverpool where he deserves the right to start. Alexander Isak, issues with how he left Newcastle to get there. Not having a pre-season. Not having a pre-season is one of the hardest things to go through as a player. And I've experienced it. It is horrible. It takes a long time to get back to that high level, and by that time, the game's passed you by. And that has been a big disruptive element of him, not just for Liverpool, but also internationally for Sweden. So whether the whole thing of the price tag he has to start, Florian Wirtz came on today, the physicality of the Premier League is becoming a problem to him. He got an assist today, showed what he can do. That's what he needs to have, that mindset going into the Premier League. He needs to say, right, I might be a little bit lightweight in the physical element of it, but every time I get the ball, I will make something happen. And that's what he'll be judged on. If he's creating a lot more chances for his team and scoring goals, what we saw him do for Leverkusen, then the fans will kind of come off him a bit.
We didn't celebrate, obviously, because he has so much respect for Frankfurt. Arne Slot said after the game, just an update on Alexander Isak, that he did come out with a groin injury. So maybe we're not going to get to see that partnership maybe in the near future after all, Tony.
Yeah, and it might come down to what Nigel was just talking about, preseason, right? Because you missed the ramping up period. You missed the building of yourself. Now you got to go from 0 to 60, right? Because now you're playing games and you're playing at the highest level. So they'll monitor that. You would like to think that, well, first you hope it's not serious. You'd like to think, though, if once he gets fit, the guy's a great player, right? We've seen it time and time again. How quickly can Arne Slot just integrate him into this side, which was always going to be hard. Right, it was going to be hard, right? Especially Ekitike comes first and has a great start to the season. There were Liverpool fans saying, "Do we even need Isak at that point?" Right? Yep. But Ekitike got injured for a couple of games, and now you're like, "Well, we got to fill that in." So he's got a lot of things to work on, Arne Slot. This is a real challenge for him right now.
We'll see what happens this weekend against Brentford.